This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
If you missed us at the State Fair, unlike Kevin Seifert, you can shop all our 2025 fair designs in the KFAN Pro Shop today and be on the lookout for a few brand new variations as well. Get your new KFAN swag today at kfan.com/store.
This is not only Bears Week, this is also back to school week. Even though I know in some cases kids went back to school a week ago, a lot of folks they are required to begin today after Labor Day. And to that end, by the way, there will also be Ode to a Dead Guy today. Johnny Athletic will join at, what time did I say?
5:30.
5:30 this very evening. I don't know if we've addressed this subject before, but it's becoming very timely once again because not only are our grade schoolers going back to school and junior high, middle school kids going back to school, high school kids going back to school, folks are going back to college. Some of them may have already been there a couple of weeks. And there was a piece that got my attention regarding one of these back-to-school trends that might be a bit on the troubling side. I don't use that T like capital T, maybe, lowercase t, but
something to keep an
nevertheless,
eye on.
something rather troubling. And it's written by a woman named Megan Francis. And she notes that she moved into her first college dorm in August 1995, which made me feel very old, but she is at what age she is. And she describes her dorm room as a cobbled-together mess. She says she had a tiny budget, parents' contributions, some paper goods, the ubiquitous bed in a bag. So she and her roommate, she had a roommate. They did the old, we're going to odds and ends, we're going to scavenge some stuff from home, denim and preppy plaid blankets, batik wall hanging, tie-dyed curtains.
Very 90s.
God, I remember those from when I was in college. And the space's focal point she describes as a faded brown and gold love seat from my roommate's basement, where it had been the site of family movie nights and dog naps since the 70s. Now, she has since graduated from college, moved on into the real world, and so these days she's dropping off her own kids at college over the past several years. She describes her fourth son, Owen, his move-in, freshman move-in day last year, as a tightly engineered process in which parents dutifully schlepped a carload's worth of expensive-looking loot into dorms. Walking down the hall, I saw well-curated rooms coming together with lots of, you guessed it, parental assistance. Online, Facebook groups such as Dorm Room Mamas and Dorms on a Dime, which collectively have hundreds of thousands of followers, are filled with photos featuring coordinated bedding, matching desks and bedside tables, tasteful rugs, and neon name signs, most no doubt paid for by parents. Although the rooms I saw on Facebook may have been extreme, elaborate dorms do seem to be growing more common. Example, the National Retail Federation projects that American families will spend $12.8 billion on college residence furnishings, up from a projected $6.7 billion in 2019.
Excuse me?
Gone, apparently, are the days, and I remember them well, when most students pieced together secondhand finds. The coffee, I can tell you this in all honesty, the coffee table that we ended up putting in my dorm room first at Wilkie Quad, and that I took with me to every apartment that I stayed in Bloomington, Indiana after I left the dorms, was found in the back of a dumpster.
Right.
It was just like this abandoned piece of wood that kind of looked cool. We had to wipe it down a little bit. There were some coffee grounds on it from the garbage around there. And that's the one we went with forever and ever. And she's saying that, again, it's not trouble with a capital T, but she wonders about, once again, the influence of what she describes as intensive parenting culture, typically demanding that parents spend more and more on and do more for their kids. On the surface, it may seem harmless for parents to help out. Adults get to enjoy furnishing the space, and kids most likely appreciate the hand. Who doesn't want nice, free, nice stuff? But parents getting involved also can rob emerging adults of an opportunity to develop autonomy. And I think there's some truth to it. I really do. I think, again, we're 3 years away from Giovanzi heading to college, and I'll probably be a fraud at that point. I think it's possible because you want comfort for your kid when they go away for the first time, right, in that kind of environment. But I'm hoping I can resist that because I do look back on it and I say, yeah, the stuff was mismatched. None of it made sense. And depending on your roommate, you might have inappropriate posters on one side and G-rated posters on the other, et cetera. And I remember my parents obviously brought me to school the first time. I don't think they ever came back, but they brought me to school the first time. And I think the closest I got to getting help was they bought me some towels, a few towels.
Yep.
And I think we went to the version of Kmart then. It was Airway. It was a subsidiary of LS Airs, a department store in Indiana, to get a fan because we didn't have air conditioning. So, one of those fans that you put in the big window. I think that was it. That was the extent of it. The rest of us fend for yourself, kid. Figure it out.
I'm sure.
And it wasn't bad.
No.
It actually, I look back on it and say, well, that's what made it kind of cool. You find this odd item.
That's it.
Every once in a while that you found abandoned or maybe on sale for $2.99.
It's a good example. One of the things that PJ Fleck has been saying is that now that college
the lid is off.
What lid's off? Now that college athletes are, getting money, you're almost doing life in reverse in terms of some people might make the most money that they're going to make in the next 3 or 4 years, right? Like there's no starting with the mismatched furniture. And I feel like we're doing that in college too. Like part of college, and believe it or not, I did stay at multiple ones.
Well, you had all kinds of probably furniture experiences when you go to 5.
But I remember, I always thought those first couple of years, and really your entire experience, that was supposed to be part of the charm of it. It wasn't these bougie dorms or condos or apartments. And we talked about it before because at the U now there's apartments going up all over the place.
Yes, very.
And some of them are beautiful, expansive 2 bedrooms with granite countertops with a view of downtown over the river
ceilings
for $3,000 a month.
Yes,
which is not real life at all. Once you get out. Now, maybe for some it is.
Right.
For me, it wasn't. But I remember at Hillcrest Hall at the University of Iowa, I remember emailing my roommate who was from Cedar Rapids and going, I have a TV and a fridge. What do you have? And so I kind of have the same. I'm in Cedar Rapids. Why don't you just bring X, Y, and Z and I'll do this? And then we went out and we split a futon to put underneath one of the bunk beds because that's all the room we had. My question for a lot of this is how big are these dorm rooms now that they have room for all of this stuff? We didn't have a lot of room for stuff.
No, I was in a box.
Yeah.
As a double, like you, I'm
same.
sure. Yeah.
And we thought it was cool. Our dorm actually had a sink in it.
No, I didn't even have that.
We didn't even have to go because some dorms didn't.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. We had the bathroom down the hall.
Yes, but we could brush our teeth and stuff.
9 sinks in a row.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
So, I do think it's not a good trend, but the toothpaste is out of the tube, right? Because everybody's been doing this for so long. Just think about it. It doubled in 5 years, basically, or 6 years.
If that stat's accurate, that's pretty stunning because I don't think that's all inflation.
Right.
Doesn't sound like. She writes, most kids could set up a room without their parents. A Pinterest-ready aesthetic isn't a prerequisite for academic or social success. And students tend to live in the room for less than a year. Come summer, every mini fridge hauled up the stairs, every hook adhered to the wall must come back down and out the door again until students return the following year and get to try something new. Dorm room in this way is the ultimate blank canvas in which a young adult can paint themselves a new identity in the perfect place for parents to practice letting go. It's true. It's a small thing, but it has some significance. And I will say, in defense of the current generation, a little bit, and even parents, is part of the problem is Pinterest didn't exist when I went to college or you went to college.
Neither did Instagram.
Or went to any of your colleges.
Yep.
So it does get stuff in your head that, because back then, what was the closest I guess you could look at a Good Housekeeping or a couple of architectural, house magazines. But how many of those are going to do? Here's some ideas for your dorm room.
Right.
I didn't think they did stories like that.
There was no Property Brothers on HGTV talking about modern rustic.
But you've got all these images coming at you, so I understand to a degree how then it's hard to resist because we didn't know any better back then. We didn't have the we'll just mix it up and make it. We'll kind of make it up as we go along. Add a couple things, subtract some things, move the beds around. Our big thing was, hey, you know what? At the end of the hall in the storage room, they got a few bunks. So you can save space if you're willing to have an upper and a lower as opposed to the two singles.
Yeah.
So we did that.
Yep.
Me and my first college roommate, Thomas Earl Moore, North Vernon, Indiana, who introduced me to my first girlfriend, but that's another story. But that was our big thing.
He regretted the bunks after that decision.
Well, that is part of the story. But that was part of the way, hey, now we got a little extra space. Now what do we do with it? Well, you add another garbage can, for God's sake, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, we thought it was cool just to be able to have a futon.
Yes,
we just didn't have enough room to do anything else.
Correct.
And then the next year, we moved upstairs. I stayed in the dorms my sophomore year. I didn't move off campus. And part of the reason was because we were able to because we were already residents there, like one of the big expanded dorms on like the 6th floor or the 4th floor.
You were
that
living
had
big.
room. But the couch that we used, and I remember it vividly.
Same one.
No, it was a couch that I got from one of my friends' mom's, right. A grandparent that had this little
probably tattered
pieced together white sectional. That's great for a college, perfect college dudes.
What could go wrong?
Like a beige white sectional kind of thing. And that's what we used. We hauled it down in a truck down to Iowa City, and it was the best. And I had that for like 10 years after.
There you go. Exactly.
It was awesome.
A couple texts. This is Nate from, is it Ramsey? When I moved into college back in 97, I had a small cardboard box of personal stuff and a laundry basket. We just moved our freshman daughter in at Duluth with 2 trucks.
Duluth?
With way too much brand new crap. Needless to say, I was the softie, but that's okay. My daughter is happy. That's a great contrast. A small cardboard box and a laundry basket, now 2 trucks full worth of material for the daughter to move in, the daughter to her fancy digs in Duluth.
Now, let me ask you this, and you might not be the best test case for it because you just have Giovanzi.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if parents that have both boys and girls, because I could see myself for my daughter.
Soft on the girl?
Completely soft.
Yeah.
Whatever you need, be comfortable. With the boys, it's basically, what does our favorite texter say? Nut up. With the boys, I can see it being, no, you don't need that.
Right.
Like, I could just see them helping move in their younger sister in college.
Yeah, you don't need a couch, son.
No.
No couch in the dorm.
Like I grew up, with bloody knuckles.
Yes.
Which I didn't, obviously. And even in college when we were roughing it, I'm sure it was fine. I could see myself being so much tougher on the boys and what I feel like they should have. Whereas my daughter, I feel like she should have multiple trucks.
That's it.
Which they're going to hate.
A lot of texts are coming in. 10 years ago, I dropped my son off at University of Michigan, putting his bags in his dorm room. We went out and got a piece of remnant carpeting, which he had on his shoulders. I drove away. I was not intending to be one of those parents, but rather encouraging him to be independent and to make his own way in a new set of surroundings. He did that successfully. Enjoyed a terrific college career and made lifelong friends in the process. See? There it is. That's all you're looking for here. It's
figure it out.
It's not that difficult. And it actually sometimes ends up, I think, meaning more. As goofy as it sounds, if you just let people figure the whole thing out. HGTV and Extreme Makeover have ruined the world. That's from Mr. G.
I don't disagree.
To your point. That's all part of the same thing. So Pinterest, all this stuff.
We've done, I think at one of the shows at the convention center, the Property Brothers were there.
Yes.
Drew and Jonathan Scott. Right. Big stars, great guys, handsome fellas. And there was like a little meet and greet with them. And I went up to him and I just said, do you realize how much money you've cost all of us? Like, we're happy for you. I was brave. I said, do you realize how much money you've cost everyone in this line when things were perfectly fine? But because of your stupid show, and I don't think I said that, we had to alter everything. And I don't remember which twin looked at me and said, yeah, but how nice is your house? I'm like, that's not the point, Jonathan Scott or Drew.
That's it.
You're killing us. You're killing us out here.
Gargi set the precedent years ago for today's transfer portal. That's true.
It's true. I was ahead of the curve.
Dan, you have a daughter. Social media has ruined it. They all have to post how cute their room is. How much of this trend is about college increasingly becoming the domain of wealthy kids versus college being a working class kid experience for a long time? I'm sure there are cultural changes because of it. College is mostly rich kids. Well, is that true? I mean, I know college has become more and more expensive, but has it reached a point where working class kids are almost out of it? I'm sure at some schools that is true.
Probably.
I don't know what the statistics indicate, but it's certainly a point worth considering. I graduated from college 5 years ago. My parents didn't get me any furniture. My table is one we grabbed from the common area UMD was giving away, and the couch was being thrown out by my childhood neighbors. This is from Grant in Maple Grove. My college roommate won a TV in a raffle during welcome week, and the TV stand / table it stood on for the entire year was the box it came in. Yes, that's it.
Resourceful.
That's it. And maybe you find some ratty old blanket so it looks a little less like a box and a little bit more like a table. But that's exactly what you would do.
Now, there comes a time where you have to turn the page, because I was still doing that in the house we rented in Golden Valley, just up the road, with Chad Kaz, old promotions guy, Tim Hyde, old promotions guy.
Right.
We were still kind of doing all of that. We were still kind of winging it.
Yes.
Up on Indiana Street.
I can imagine.
We were still kind of winging it. Yes. And we were like pushing 30, 27, 28, 29. And then there was a time Sauce lived with us, and that was back when he was with Fallon. And the women did not appreciate having to come over and sit on our couches and use our bathroom.
Right.
At some point, you do have to find a better way.
Yeah.
Maybe the Property Brothers helped me in that regard, but they still talk about my cousin Carly, same thing. It was not the greatest all the time to be over there.
When I moved into Frontier Hall in the mid-'70s, my mom brought me a towel with a bird on it for a wall hanging. That was my decor.
Yeah.
That was it. That's all it took. Son went to Iowa. He went to orientation on his own, moved in himself. 4.5 years later, graduated. We never went there on his own. Now, I'm not here to say you should never go visit your kid.
Right. It's fun.
But I do think it's probably better that you're not there every fourth week, right? I think that ends up being a little bit too over the top as well. 100% that is the culture, and it extends past college, writes Sam. My brother-in-law, 20 years old, had his entire townhouse furnished by his mom, which I think they use as a guilt trip to their children. That's good, you guy, checking in. I found my coffee table the same way you do, Dan. Move-out day by the dumpster 15 years ago. It is still at a single friend from college's house to this day. My roommate was in the architectural college at Iowa State. This is from Dr. Phil. He designed a table that would fit over 2 vertical 24 beer bottle packs, thus creating the legs for our coffee table.
And it's decor. It looks nice.
Yeah, it actually does. It's actually pretty good. A couple more texts. We'll go along, and then we'll catch up later this hour. Johnny Athletic is going to join at 5:30 tonight. My freshman year at Northwestern, writes Matt, the couch in our dorm room was one that was being thrown out from Goodwill. It was so ugly that Goodwill didn't even want to attempt to sell it. Yeah, and usually, there might be springs hanging out, or you just kind of move it, you just kind of work around it, maybe put a blanket over that area.
We had a couple of those. Yep, don't sit there.
That kind of thing. That one I'm not going to read. HGTV ruined my marriage. My ex-wife had a to-do list a mile long for things that didn't need to be replaced. I hate Chip and Joanne and the Property Brothers can kiss my butt. I'm single and happy now.
There's a documentary out there with more of those people than you would think.
Well, what's weird is I admit that when I don't want to be challenged by anything I'm watching, I like watching those shows because they're
good shows.
The shows themselves, to watch the transition of a place being redone.
Yes.
It's kind of cool.
It's great.
It's actually fun to watch, but it does, I think, then get in the psyche.
Definitely.
To the point where then it changes the way you look at everything and even what you're willing to accept and how much further you're gonna go in terms of getting that perfect look, right?
Magnolia Farms, I think, is the Chip and Joanna Gaines brand.
What were the posters on your wall? Do you remember? Any of them come to mind?
The posters on my wall?
Yeah.
The only thing I would have had, it would have been at Iowa, and it would have been self-serving. It probably would have been our own tennis poster, like our schedule.
Right.
It would have been that stuff. It would have been the football schedule, the basketball stuff. Like when I was growing up, it was like Kevin Garnett, Andre Agassi, Michael Jordan, guys like that. I'm not buying Chip and Joanna, by the way. When the TV career goes, I think they're done.
You think it's over? That's possible.
My wife disagrees with me.
Yeah.
She thinks they're madly in love.
Yeah.
I'm not. Maybe I'm too cynical. I see how she looks at them. Yeah. I don't buy it.
Interesting. Well, we'll keep an eye on that.
Write that down. File that away.
That could be a great brag.
File that away
on your side if you end up being vindicated.
There has to be though a documentary about marriages that, in part, I'm sure there were other issues, fell apart because of HGTV shows.
Yeah, that's probably
there
true.
has to be.
You're right.
Because it's craziness.
That I can't. I don't want to read that one. That's kind of gross. The dorm room can still be handled by the kid, but the ship has sailed on apartments/houses. The era of flats or apartments with slanted floors and mismatched furniture is gone. Granite countertops, dishwashers, and newer furnishings are the norm. Last year at the U of M, my daughter lived in an 8-bedroom, 4-bath, 2-fridge, 2 laundry set house.
Excuse me?
Oh, and it was all brand new.
Yeah.
That's too many roommates for me. 8 bedrooms?
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That sounds like a sorority, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of a sorority light. I guess baby brother Peter is old school. Common was telling me he and his roommates in Columbus, they are staying in like an older
like a dump
college.
Right. They want to soak in the entire experience.
Well, I think they kind of thought they did until they got there. And
now they're not so sure.
It was kind of one guy that was driving the train.
Yeah.
And now they're regretting it a little bit.
Yes.
So they probably won't repeat it. But I guess I bring it up to say that still exists. You may have to look a little bit further for it or harder for it, but that mantra still exists a little bit.
Very interesting. A couple last ones. I had here one of the posters I remember having up was like it was a hemp poster, which was really fraudulent on my behalf because I had no interest in pot even in college, none, and so it was just to be with it and wow. Oh, marijuana, the cool big. The image was kind of. I don't even remember what was on it, but we had one of those up, and we had I can't even remember the rest of the things. That's the one that comes to my mind as being the most obvious one. You had the Farrah Fawcett Majors poster in one of your colleges, or is that too? You too young for that?
I'm too young for that. I'm trying to think who we had or who would have been. Like Tyra Banks was big then. Jessica Alba was big then. I'm trying to think who the options would have been.
So Farrah would have been before you, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because there's one famous Farrah. It's a one-piece suit.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a specific part of the suit that made it, I think, a bestseller. Somebody said they had a Bo Derek one back in the day.
Bo Derek.
From the motion picture 10. She was famous at that point as well. When I was in college, writes, what area code is this? 913 guy. We had a god-awful orange corduroy couch.
Yeah.
It was style, then comfort, and it was style, comfort, and decor. That's it. The colors didn't even make any. It's not a lot of the stuff you would never really go out and buy.
No,
new, but somebody was getting rid of it, and we need a place to sit. So what the hell? Who are we trying to impress?
And you'd have like 2 days to decide if you wanted it or not, because people were just trying to get rid of stuff, and you'd say, "Look, we're trying to get so and so's trying to get rid of their couch or their chair or their dining room table."
Yes.
Let us know by the end of the day. Now, Facebook Marketplace, you get rid of a lot of that stuff. There's a lot of nice stuff on there. I mean, people are just they're driving all over the metro, just trading stuff. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
So in a way, you could find out. You can furnish it probably nicer than we could back in the day, because you can find nicer stuff.
Let's come back with Ode to a Dead Guy, and as I mentioned, Johnny Athletic at
KFAN.
Step into the magic. The Minnesota Renaissance Festival runs weekends right now through September 28th. You can get your tickets at renaissancefest.com and enter for your shot to win a pair of tickets on our contest page, KFAN.com, keyword contest.
today that Hall of Fame basketball coach George Raveling has died at the age of 88 years old. He's been, I believe, battling cancer. Highly successful coach at a number of colleges. An individual who had to deal from time to time with segregation in his life. And before we get to some more details about his basketball career, one of the most, I think, compelling parts of a very rich history in his case is his connection to the MLK I Have a Dream speech. He's in Washington, D.C. And on that occasion, he's living in, he was, I should say, visiting a friend in Claymont, Delaware. And there was a discussion about whether the kids, I say kids, that age kids, were going to attend the speech. And as Raveling recalled it years later, he was not going to go. Basically said he made it sound like, well, we didn't have any money, so we weren't going to go. The father of his friend encourages him to go, and he even supplies them with a car and gives them some cash. He said, you youngsters need to be there because this is something historic. So they'd go. They arrive in Washington on Friday evening, and they run into, just by luck, Friday night, one of the march organizers. And he asks them if they're going to attend the march, and they say yes. And the organizer says, well, would you be interested in volunteering? And they said, well, what do you need to volunteer to do what? And the organizer said, we need security guards. And Raveling was a big guy. So I think he sort of got sized up to that extent. In fact, at the time, I think it was 6'4", 200 pounds. So as Raveling has told the story, they get there about 8 in the morning, and they run into the organizer who says, look, the place we need extra security actually is at the podium. So they get assigned, George and his friend get assigned to the podium, that area. Very strategic security position. And Raveling has told this story many times, what he recalls about that day, even before King spoke. All the speakers, he said, were limited to 5 minutes, and they said that if you violate it, they were going to shut the mic down. 5-minute limitation, he says, was why a very famous writer named James Baldwin did not speak, because he wouldn't change his speech. They also made John Lewis change his speech several times because Lewis, who was then head of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, was going to call on the movement to oppose the Kennedy administration's civil rights bill because it contained nothing to curb police brutality. So, of course, that the afternoon becomes truly magical when King develops or offers up his own speech. And the way Raveling tells it, towards the close of the speech, if you're able to turn the sound up loud enough, you can hear a female voice in the back say, tell him about the dream, Martin. Tell him about the dream. And the person speaking, Raveling said, was the great gospel singer Mahalia Jackson. She'd been at a lot of the King speeches, demonstrations. She had heard King do it in Selma and Detroit, so she was familiar with it, George said. So at that point, King starts to improvise a bit. And part of the reason Raveling would come to know he was improvising was when he read the hard copy of King's speech. Here's the quote from George. The original intent never included the I Have a Dream phase of it if you see the original manuscript. So King, at this point, because he was the last speaker, began to ad-lib the I Have a Dream part. At the end of the speech, as Dr. King finished and started to fold his speech as he walked away, I just said, I don't know why, I just impulsively said, Dr. King, can I have that copy? And he turned and handed it to me. Why did he ask for the speech? I would love to come up with some really exotic answer, Raveling said. People ask me time and again. It was just impulse. I really have no idea why I did it. But he kept it for decades. The original speech, the original copy, I guess I should say, of the speech, that historic occasion that became even more historic, obviously, over the years after. Even if people envisioned at the front end that in itself the event was historic, nobody quite knew then how historic the speech would be. He kept it, I think, for close to 30 years. Ultimately, and by the way, claimed he had offers to sell for upwards of like $3 million.
Yep.
And he never did. I think ultimately he ended up donating it to the library at Villanova, where I think he went, where indeed he went to school. He went on to become historic in the basketball sense, 72 becoming the first African-American head basketball coach in what was then something called the Pac-8 conference at Washington State, coached in the Big Ten, coached at Iowa.
Right after Lute.
That's right. And then he ended his career at USC, inducted into the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame in 2013 and the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame in 2018. Eventually became Nike's director of international basketball as well. And I've just always appreciated his connection to have that document, to have that piece of history in your hands, and to look back and to know he almost didn't go. It was just by happenstance that the father of friends says, go, you should go. And not only do you end up going, you end up, again, out of, just serendipity, you end up in security, and not only security, but security right around that rostrum area. You can see him in some of the speech film that's available, George Raveling as well. A remarkable story, and again, an historic figure who, once upon a time when he was coaching, look, there are other coaches who had better win-loss records for sure, but he became very much a go-to coach for lots of media jackals and ink-stained wretches because of his history, because he was willing to talk about tough things like race. He had a lot to say. And it all, for me, like I said, to a large extent, goes back to his connection to a moment that if again, there's a lot of people in our audience who weren't alive then, but I'm sure you're aware of the speech, or at some point you studied it. If you haven't, you should, because it was such a seismic moment in the country at that time. I can't tell you how, even then, how big it felt. I think, what were the numbers? I think 200,000? Or was it even
250?
More? 250, 250,000 people.
Yep, March on Washington.
And in relatively peaceful situation. And he, like I said, there were a lot of speakers. There was controversy about, okay, how far do we go? How do we calculate this thing out? But obviously the keynote address was by MLK.
And right now, that keynote, according to Wikipedia, is currently on display at the National Museum of African American History and Culture in D.C.
So D.C., so it moved from Villanova, too. Okay.
Yeah, it was basically a long-term on-loan arrangement is how Raveling and Villanova came to it, and then it was obviously at least temporarily donated there. And yeah, I've told you a million times, I'm one of like 10 people that were really pumped when Maryland came into the Big Ten because I love going to D.C. Mm-hmm. And every time we're there, if we can, I do try to visit the mall because you can go stand on the spot. They've got it marked off at the Lincoln Memorial where the speech was given. And you stand there and you look and you try to imagine 250,000 people. And this young guy giving this seismic moment speech, like you said, it's pretty remarkable. I mean, you just have to do it if you ever get to D.C. There's one other thing, and we tried to get Raveling on for one of the anniversaries of it.
Oh, you're right.
I want to say we tried.
Right, we did.
I tried like every angle I could possibly find and just couldn't get it done.
Pretty remarkable. A man of remarkable integrity.
2 Saturdays ago, he tweeted this, because I found out he died from his own Twitter account because I followed him on Twitter. 2 Saturdays ago, August 23rd, and he tweeted a lot. I often say I've had my day in the sun, danced my dances, fought my battles, won some, lost some. This season of my life isn't about me. It's about what I can still give, how I can still be of service.
Yeah, there you go. He was on the USA basketball coaching staff for the 84 LA Olympics that I attended, and then the 88 Seoul Olympics, which didn't go as well. He was on the staffs of both of those teams. As I said, spent a lot of time with Nike. And again, I'm sure it's probably true that you. I don't know if at the moment when he asked for the speech, I don't even know. Like, I'd be too intimidated. I think. I'd feel like it's too presumptuous, you know.
Like you say, though, it was just instinct,
and that's the beauty of it. It's like he didn't think about it, but then to have that, and then he, like I said, he kept it forever, despite a number of attempts for it to be purchased off of him, and then ultimately, then he says, "No, I'm going to donate this where everybody can see it." Just by all accounts, a remarkable man with a great connection to such an important piece of American history as well. Back in just a minute.
Man.
You can join me on Monday night at Gray's Food Hall for a season kickoff watch party. Drop by starting at 7 o'clock to catch the Purple as they open up the season against Chicago. We'll be doing these all year for all the road games. You can enjoy great food and your shot to win awesome prizes. Get the full details now. KFAN.com, keyword calendar. We'll see you at Gray's Food Hall next Monday night.
Chuck next to Hazelden writes, Dan, during the year the North Stars moved to Dallas, Raveling's team played the Gophers at Met Center in an NIT game. A Norm Green sucks chant started before the game. Raveling turned to a local ink-stained wretch and asked, who is Norm Green? The reporter said he's the guy who's moving the North Stars to Dallas. Raveling replied, well, I guess he does suck then. I love George Raveling from that moment on.
I feel like I was at that game.
Seriously?
Yeah, that sounds like somewhere I would have gone.
There was a reason they had to play a couple there. Was it? Do you remember why?
A lot of times it's because Williams Arena is not available.
That's it. Yeah.
They had to play at Target Center for NIT before.
And Target Center might not have been available on that occasion. Well, this would have been pre-Target.
It would have been pre-Target Center.
Would have been pre-Target Center? Yeah,
well, USC maybe not.
Maybe not. Yeah.
Maybe they might not have had it yet.
Are you familiar with Texas Christian University?
TCU, I am. I've been there.
You should be aware of them after last night.
I watched.
Of course, they give up the opening drive. I mean, it was clinical. The Bill Belichick-led Tar Heels with Michael Jordan absolutely beaming, Randy Moss beaming,
Lawrence Taylor
beaming,
Roy
who's the
Williams,
soccer star beaming?
Mia Hamm.
They're all going, well, this is too easy. Because not only do they score on the first possession, like Butta going through the TCU defense, They is 3 and out. They're going to get the ball back. They're going to be up 14-0 in the wink of a blink of an eye. Unfortunately,
not so fast,
my friend. They end up getting edged. I think 48-14. Was that the final?
Yes.
So, Deadspin in anticipation of the Bill Belichick premiere as a college head coach tweeted out, "Babe, wake up. Bill Belichick coaches college football today."
That's right.
To which TCU football's X-handle writes, "Babe, go back to sleep." That's vicious. So it is a further sign of just how the rules have changed when it comes to social media engagement from we're above that sort of stuff. College, university, the official TCU football Twitter handle? Are you kidding me?
Yep.
We don't know. We're too classy for that. And now, I guess, because we got so many of these sorts of tweets like this, where people have just decided, bleep it. We're gonna taunt with anybody. Everybody's doing it on our behalf anyway. So we're gonna get it. We're gonna jump into the deep end of the pool as well.
Well, they also had a player doing some type of live stream from the locker room. TCU
They did?
basically saying, not like officially, but players just grabbed their phone and basically said Belichick needs to call his girlfriend.
Oh, my God.
I mean, it's just vicious.
Yeah.
Now, in TCU's defense, I will defend them to this end because you know me, I'm usually more of a hand the ball back to the ref kind of guy.
Yes.
I don't love all of that stuff all the time. you can't be that mad at TCU, given that I think they were the only ones that were aware of who else was participating in the game last night, given
there's no question
how all of it was always going to be about Belichick and the North Carolina
ESPN
brand.
All day, it was very much like the day of a Super Bowl. Seriously.
It was.
I think the coverage started at like 6 a.m. and went straight through to what was a night game. All Belly related and all UNC related, as if they weren't even playing another team.
I love the visual of Belichick at his podium for the post-game press conference. I don't know if you saw this one.
I heard him, but I didn't see it.
So he's got, the Carolina hoodie on because that's what he wears. Right. And they've got like Tar Heel blue balloons like all over the stage where he was doing the post-game press conference.
Like there was going to be a
it's a celebration.
Yeah.
Somebody said, did he walk in on a birthday party? Did he walk in on a wedding that we're not aware of?
That's too good.
It looks like he interrupted some big celebration to do this post-game presser.
God, that's good. That's so good. Somebody's asking for the origin of that boisterous laugh sound clip you just used. Was that the one you used, or did you use a different one? What did you use?
I used both of them.
Oh, used them both. Those are both out of soccer. Some long ago soccer competition, wasn't it? Or was it basketball?
I think it's basketball because a Spanish player was basically
you're right.
Steph Curry.
It was basketball, you're right.
And he was unconscious for like 9 straight threes. I want to
believe it was a Spanish broadcast of a Ricky Rubio dominating game, but it probably was not. Yeah, you're right. It wasn't soccer. That's very true. That's the origin. I don't remember the exact
It was
game,
years ago.
But it was many, many, many years ago for sure. And TCU's not even ranked. Were they going into the game?
I don't believe so.
So
they're always a solid team, pretty solid program the last 2 decades or so.
And I think most of the panel picked Carolina.
Well,
now, Saban admitted that it is my friend. I'm gonna pick him. I think your guy picked him too, didn't he?
Herb Street?
No, the guy who's got his simulcast show on ESPN.
Oh, Pat McAfee.
I think McAfee picked him, didn't he?
Probably. I don't know.
I think it was like 3 out of the 4 people picked him.
That would make sense.
Because it's hard not, I guess, to get into the fever of it, right? It was almost like Deion Sanders to college times to the 10th power.
The problem is Bill Belichick doesn't have a couple of his kids and surrogate son Travis Hunter coming with him to
that's a good point.
The college level.
Yeah.
He's kind of doing it a different way. Brad Johnson's kid got some run again. Remember the big injury last year against the Gophers? Yes. He was their backup and actually threw a touchdown pass. Their last score
garbage time
were the Johnson brothers.
Carolina, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because he was on the team last year.
That's right. He got hurt. Yeah.
I'm wondering why maybe he wasn't cleared late enough in camp. I know Belichick brought this other kid in, but he was terrible. They had the graphic.
He was not very. He was the left-hander, wasn't he?
He may have been. I'm not sure.
I think he's a left-hander.
But they had the real time of when his last completion was, and it was like 2 hours. It was like his last completion was at 8:12 Eastern, and this was at like 10.
Yeah.
So we'll see if Brad Johnson's kid gets the ball back.
Maybe that
for week 2.
Yeah, they might need a quarterback.
I think they face Charlotte, and I'm pretty sure Brewster is on staff there.
Who's better, Charlotte or Northwestern State?
Probably Charlotte. Yeah.
Although Northwestern State's 1-0 in the 2025 season.
They snapped a 3-year losing streak, basically.
Against one of the Alcorns, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Top 5 yet to come. What do we have?
We've got some Twins, the Lynx route, and people are wondering, when will they start setting the rotation for the postseason?